What is data? Shiny object. You are an unusable mess because of your distraction. Ads don't work. You lied to me. I hate this. Take data tracking that seriously. All right, everybody. Welcome into the call. Welcome back. I hope the USPK call was informative and you're excited that they are producing results. And we, the USPK region, the whole, our own United States governing body is like kind of for sure the most prosperous one possible, prosperous one of all of them that exist globally so far. It's just cool to be participating in that. So we talked about the stages of your business. We talked about sales and marketing and what specifically a good ad looks like, what specifically a good ad targeting and a whole system looks like, and then what specifically your sales team ought to be capable of doing. And how do you manage that? What if it goes off tracks? What if it, whatever, how do you get it back on track? So we kind of see the whole realm of a stage 1 and a stage 2 business right there, just in that scope. So now we're going to be talking about zooming into a stage 3 business, getting that clarity, and you as the CEO, you as the leadership team, how do you keep your eye on the prize, and how do you figure out what you should be doing when you wake up on any given business day? And that skill is going to be creating what gets you into or out of a level 3 business. All right, so that's what we're talking about. We're talking about what is data, what is data risk, how do you choose how to grow and where to put your attention, where does AI fit into this, and a gym operating system. That's what we're talking about right now. This is our last segment for the day. Okay, so I've said this a few times, growing on purpose. I'm saying that specifically, and I'm saying that because a lot of us just sort of grow on accident, or we shrink on accident, or we plateau for years and years on accident. There's a difference between it just sort of happening, and when you look back behind you, you're like, that was wild. I didn't plan any of that. I'm just showing up and answering all my emails day by day, and it's all chaos and confusion. There's a difference between that and sitting down and saying, I know exactly what my data is telling me to work on. I know what specific results I'm trying to cause, and I know what inputs are needed to grow my business to the next level. I'm going to do those things on purpose and get there. There's 2 different mindsets we had there. One was chaos with no planning. The other one was strategic and targeted. And like I said, the big thing that stops people here at a level 3 business is the shiny object. When they see that neat little stone, they're like, ooh. And I have some of these pictures around because I'm calling out some specific things that parkour gym owners just love getting sidetracked on. We have the kid with his Jenga blocks just stacking up some stuff with his hard hat. That represents just deciding to repaint your whole gym, just deciding to rebuild some stuff, build a cool new vault box, decide to add on, like you're going to build this mobile thing, even though you have a gym, you're going to launch it at the school or whatever. Just like tinkering with the in your gym stuff. So many business owners will get caught up in that. I used to work at a parkour gym a long time ago, like years and years ago. I worked at this parkour gym, and I knew that parkour gym was not doing great. It was just sort of coasting. And I thought it was so funny when I was like hearing that the CEO of that business had spent literally days researching the different densities of sand so that they could build this like thing that they were going to show up and like show to the city. And it was cool, the thing that they built, and then it was gone and done for. And like, it didn't move their business forward at all. And I just remember being like, brother, you researched sand for how long so that you could fill your bucket with sand so it wouldn't move? And that just like that stuck with me. I wasn't even like really that into business at that time, but man, that stuck with me. Okay, the other things on this, we have sparkly clothing. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that are actually more of like an artist. You know, you could be an entrepreneur, you could be a manager leader, or you could be an artist. Those are the three buckets. This is something from Tony Robbins. He likes to put people in these three categories. Everybody can be in all three categories in different ratios. You usually have one of those things that's dominant. You could be dominantly an entrepreneur, which you're very susceptible to shiny objects because you constantly find these problems and you want to solve them. And it makes your brain tingle with happies when you get to solve a problem and it works. And then you get bored and then you move on, right? That's like the folly of an entrepreneur mindset. The folly of a artist mindset is you create these things, you design the pattern, you tell a story, you get the vanity metrics of like the views and the stuff, and then you move on, right? So who among us in this room, I certainly have been like, oh, the thing that I'm going to do to make money today is design a new t-shirt, or I'm going to mess around with drop shipping on my site, or I'm going to, XYZ shiny object. Okay. On the bottom right, I have a school. So actually, this is the same offender as the previous gym with the gym owner researching sand. That gym spent a lot of time and resources into these like off-campus, third-party public school parkour programs, which are cool. And we did reach more kids, but like their main gym was not doing too great. Their main gym had, frankly, a lot of cultural issues. There were like a lot of coaches burnt out or upset at leadership or just not getting paid enough or just generally unclear on what the heck that business is doing. Meanwhile, the leaders of that business were like, hey, we're going to go to these 4 different schools, and each, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we're going to go to these each day, a different one of those schools. And we're going to have to haul out all this equipment. And then we're going to set up some stuff and teach like 12 kids parkour. And they're paying us like half the price of our normal gym membership because the public school needed a deal, I guess. And I was just an employee. So they put me on that project. And that burnt me out so bad, like having to drive all the way out there with these kids whose parents just put them in the after school thing. Like some of the kids liked it, but some were just there as like babysitters. And like, I was only there for an hour and a half. And then that was it. And then I had to drive home, put all the stuff away. And that was my shift for the day, just an hour and a half. And that just burnt me out. It was like cool the first couple times because it was novel, but I didn't like doing it. So I eventually stopped. And then the next coach also got burnt out, eventually stopped. The next coach eventually stopped. And at some point, it was that gym's owner driving out and coaching that class themselves for like half the price of normal. And it's just wild to me how much we as gym owners, business owners, allow ourselves to just look at this shiny stone of whatever it could be and just get so sidetracked. And I get it. I have done that too. And I'm sure you guys, if we're all super honest in the chat, feel free to do this. If you have like a shiny object that you might be currently pursuing, or maybe one you've recently said no to, like pop it in there. And then, the other 2 icons, we have the ChatGPT logo. Sometimes guys pursuing some like niche corner of some new technology can be a shiny object and a waste of your time. TikTok, the new social media platform, the newest, like sometimes if it's already working over on Facebook, or you have no data that's saying that you should go to this new social media platform when all of your target audience are actually on the other one, then it's just a shiny object. Okay, so those are the examples I wanted to call out. I think you guys get it. Shiny objects are one of the things that really keep us stuck here. What you got to get, the lesson is that there is a difference between signal and noise. The thing that makes your cell phone call is signals. That's like only the electromagnetic frequency that comes from the satellite. Your phone knows exactly the frequency that it's listening for, and all the other frequencies that are bouncing around constantly, your phone ignores, so that I can just do the thing it needs to do, connect the calls, and be a phone. If your phone was also receiving, the the mixed martial art fight that's broadcasting over your neighbor's phone call that's right next door, or just like the random echoes that are bouncing off all the walls around it, your phone would be an unusable mess. And sometimes, dear gym owner, you are an unusable mess because of your distraction. And that's okay. That's why we're here. We're pointing that out. And here's what I want you to do. The signal, which I will really define in the next few slides, the signal is the thing that you should be focusing on that will grow your business. That's the signal. The noise is everything else. The noise is like your coach is coming to you and saying, hey, we're out of toilet paper, or it's just like anything else. Your coach is saying, hey, I don't like the vendor we get pizza from. Let's get a different pizza vendor. Or, hey, I'm tired of looking at the same t-shirt. Gym owner, you need to design more cool t-shirts so that I am personally satisfied. Okay, that stuff is noise. Now, if you just totally ignored all of the noise, you would probably make some of your people mad. Like, you would leave people feeling not heard, not seen. Like, you do have to restock the toilet paper in the gym, right? Like, you do have to do some of that. So what I'm proposing is that you spend 80% of your time focusing on signal, and then 20% of your time just doing everything else, right? Everything else. That's when you can live in that land. And you do that by delegating. You do that by building a team. You do that by having data. You do that by having the systems that enable that. But that is what we're talking about at a level 3 business. That is what we're talking about. And what you do is you find the constraint, right? I already explained this in our first sprint today. The constraint is the area of your business that it's the area of your business that will make the most impact, the most improvement for the least amount of your effort. The area that the least amount of your effort can go into that makes the biggest genuine impact. That is the constraint. And the constraint can be kind of anywhere. It could be in your pricing model. It could be in how you're marketing, how you're getting sales, repetition, which means like, are your people buying again, your length of engagement, how long people are members, your ascension, are people moving from a new member up to your competition team? And there's also like a hidden one here that is just your team culture. If your team culture sucks, but everything else here is technically good, then you're going to just slog and hate showing up to work, and it's just not going to be fun either. And you need to know where your constraint lives. Let's do a little exercise. What if we determine that our constraint was in repetition? And repetition is basically, if we have a member, how long do they stay with us? If we have a person buying our product, how many times do they keep buying our product? That's repetition. So zooming in, we have 50 clients that start on their first day. Okay, so the box on the far left, first day, 50 people. By day 2, 47 come back. So you closed 47 out of 50 of those trial classes. That would be a baller of a day. That'd be tight. Okay, week number 1, you have 46 of them come back. Only one person claimed that 7-day money back guarantee that I talked about last time. You got 46 of them. You're still rocking it. Month 1 comes around and you've dropped down to 30 people. Okay. Month 6 comes around, you've dropped down to 29 people. Okay. So where is the problem here? What should we really look at? So here are the conversion percentages from day 1 to day 2, 94, 2 to 3, 97, box 3 to 4, 65% convert. And then from the last box between those two, it's again 96. So 90, 90, 60, 90. My question to you is, where would a 20% improvement make the most impact? And there's 2 spots that stand out to me. And that is, 1, in the client's first day, What if we shoved 20 more clients into this? So instead of 50, we had 70. Okay. What would happen there? Would that make us have more members by month 6? Where else can we have a bigger improvement? So before I give that, you guys tell me in the comments, what do you think? Would improving that 65% do better, or would 20 new members through that pipeline do better? Give you a second to pop in your guesses. Or if you see some hidden third thing and you're actually a business wizard, then put that in too. We got a Lutz, that's 1. Pop it in, Mitchell. Pop it in, Nicholas. Come on, Zach, get in there. 1 month check-in calls are going to need to be added in there. Possibly, yeah. Okay, 65%. Cool. All right. So continuing on with this, here's what happens. So a 20% gain of that 50 is actually 10 new members. So my bad on that. 10 new members gets you to 60 new people going all the way through that pipeline. And you end up with 33 members. Well, that would cost you money. You see in that first box, there's some stacks right there. To get more members, you'd have to spend more on ads, and then you got to pay more. But you do get more members. That's cool. But the below example, you start with your normal 50. So you're spending the same amount, but you just improve that weakest part of that link. You get a 20% gain from 65 up to 85. Well, then you end up with 37 new members. So for no extra ad dollars, if you just know how to pick apart your retention pipeline, you can see where am I dropping off and where can I put in my effort, the least amount of effort for the most improvement. That is my definition for the constraint. That's what we're doing here. Okay, and we talked about this earlier, the wrong problem, the wrong way, the right way. What we need to know is where the heck is our constraint? And then what is the right way to solve that? And that's where data risk shows up. Data risk is when you just don't have the data to figure out what you're doing. So I have 3 different pipelines, 3 different funnels right here. And there are more funnels than this in your business. The first one on the left talks about ad spend, then leads, then bookings, then CAC. Okay. If a gym was saying that they came to me and they're like, Jimmy, we're not getting enough leads, or we're just not getting enough trial classes. We're spending money on ads. We're not getting enough new members. Ads don't work. You lied to me. I hate this. Turn it all off. I'm just going to stick my head back in the sand and hope my gym grows. Well, I would say, okay, show me your numbers. How much are you spending on ads? How many leads are you getting from those ads? What's your cost per lead? How many calls are you making? How many bookings are you getting? From those bookings, how many trial classes do you have showing up? From those show ups, what's your close rate? And that flow is exactly the pipeline that I'm going to look at. And I'm going to look at the conversions between them. Okay, if we're spending, $1,000 to get 500 leads, and then we're making our appropriate 300 calls a day, but we're just not getting any bookings. But if they do show up, we close them. Well, then it looks like the problem is not with your ads. You're getting plenty of leads, but it's with your bookings. That could tell me one of 2 things. Maybe your ads are getting the wrong people. So your ads are working, they're just shooting in the wrong direction. Or the way that you're reaching out to your people is awful. And so what I would do is first look at how are we reaching out to these people? And then I discover, well, actually, I don't have a sales person making calls at the times that you recommended. I actually just have Jimbo guy over here making calls or only sending texts at midnight when they're done with their 4-hour Call of Duty session, and they just mass send a single text. And that's cool because that's just how I told them I'm a business owner and that's what we're doing. And guys, I made that up, but that's very close to a real example that happened not long ago. And so I would look at that and go, well, I think we found the problem. Here's what I want you to do. You need an actual salesperson with dedicated hours who's making calls at times that work for your avatar. So if it's parents, probably weekday mornings at 9 a.m, and see how that goes. And then we fix that problem, and look at that. Now our leads can flow all the way through to new members, and it worked. Cool. Okay, well, what about the middle column, new members? Here we're looking at, we keep spending money on ads, but we are just losing just as many members as we're gaining, which means ads don't work. I'm going to turn it off and put my head in the hole. I would say, okay, show me how many new members you're getting. How many members are making it to week 1 and then month 1 and then month 6? LEG stands for length of engagement on my little pipeline here. And how many people are making it down through month 6? And then the last one says comp team. So how many people are making it to the competition team at my gym in specific? And so what I would do there is just look at each stage and see where's the drop off. Exactly what we just did. So I'm going to skip past that one. Well, maybe on this last one, we have revenue, payroll, profit, and NOB, which stands for net owner benefit. How much you, the owner, are actually getting paid. You might be, making all this money on top with your ads and your members, but you're actually not making any profit. And then you might say, ads don't work, turn it off and stick my head in the sand. Well, instead, we want to look at, okay, what's your top line revenue? What percentage of your revenue are going to these buckets? Your payroll, your insurance, your ad spend, your rent, your anything else, all your heart. There's like several categories that your profit and loss statement would look at. We could look at how many kids are you putting into your classes per coach who's coaching it? What are the different levers that we have there? How much are you charging per member? Oh, you're undercharging, you're overcharging, whatever. And then we could actually pick apart and see where it's not working and see where it's failing to flow down into the net owner benefit, the amount of money that the owner benefits from. And if you, let me close my window 1 second, okay? All right, I'm back. So if you don't have the data to even figure these things out, then you're going to be flying blind, and you're either going to be guessing, which is not a good strategy, or you're just going to be not even trying, and you're going to be growing not on purpose. You'll probably be shrinking or plateauing or whatever. You for sure won't be able to replicate this if you open up another gym. If you do open up another gym and you're not clear on these things, you might be magnifying a problem that you didn't know you had because you, the gym owner, have just been personally attending to it. But if you have a new gym and you're not personally there, you're just going to get wrecked because your data didn't reveal these issues or these problems that you had. That's data risk. And data risk is huge. Gyms that don't have a CRM, gyms that don't have like an automation connecting their data in the gym software like MindBody or Pike 13 or Zen Planner. If you don't have an automation or a systems or reports in those that you look at regularly, if you don't know how to pick apart your ads data, like if you get into Facebook Ad Manager and pick your data apart, if you don't know how to do that, and it's not all flowing into a nice, beautiful spot that makes it easy to do that, then you're not going to want to do that. And then even if you did, it would take you like hours to do it, and then you just hate it, right? And then you're not going to do it often. So when you're missing data, you end up working on the wrong problem the wrong way. When you're missing data, you could work on the wrong problem, maybe the right way if you get lucky. But either way, if you don't know where to shoot your shot, you're just guessing. So you're probably guessing wrong. If you're missing a mentor, you might be working on the right problem, but maybe the wrong way. And if you're getting everything right, you're working on the right problem the right way, that would be tight. That's what I want for you. My hot take on the parkour industry is, as a whole, we generally we're just messed up about money. Like what Christopher said, most of us are undercharging. Most of us feel like we can't charge more. If you have coaches in your gym who are doing private lessons, when I tell a coach at my gym that my personal private lesson rate is $700, they think I'm joking. But then when I explain it to them, I'm like, dude, I have all this to focus on. Like if one student wants my time when I have all these, like, frankly, better at coaching parkour coaches than I am, if they want my time, it's $700. Okay. And so when one of my best parkour coaches is like, well, am I okay charging $40? I'm like, no, there's a gym minimum of $80. You have to at least charge that. And you're my head coach. You should for sure be charging at least $150 per hour. And you can get up into the more than that. Christopher on the call here he did an intake with a student, and it was in like the 600s, and they paid it, right? Because he knew that was what was valuable and worth it to them. So I think we're messed up on price. Beyond that, we just generally suck at marketing. Us parkour industry folks, we're not good at marketing. And so my little picture here, you might have noticed Daryl Stingley's face floating there. What that means is on the left side of my pipe on the bottom, we have all these bubbles, all these people who might be aware of parkour, or they would totally be into parkour if they were given a clear, easy opportunity to on-ramp onto parkour. We have all these people that could join our community, but our bottleneck, which is our industry, just sort of sucks, right? Like when we have only a couple bubbles trickling through, there's only like a few of us on this like pretty valuable call only for $49. There's only like a couple of us on this call. And the result of that, you see how few bubbles are over there next to Daryl Stingley's face. There's only like a couple people that actually get good at parkour, right? Like if you look at soccer, if I just went and showed up at like Oakland, San Francisco's like competitive soccer league, I would get crushed. But if I showed up to like some random small Midwestern town and like went to their parkour competition, I'd probably crush them. A lot of us on this call would probably crush most competitions we showed up to in a random like dart thrown at a map location because there's so few of us, and that's a bummer. Anyway, so that's why I'm interested in solving this. This is my hot take. It's price and marketing. I'd like to get more Daryl Stingleys up in here. All right. So we have a way that we built, that we put together to make a lot of this data that's missing and a lot of this data that isn't connected make sense for you guys. And I'd like to turn it over now to Christopher to show us an operating system that we built for you parkour gym owners.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much, Jimmy. And last year, if you were here, you'll remember that I had about 50 QR codes for everyone. I was like, here's a QR code to an Excel spreadsheet that calculates your budget. Here's a QR code to coaches onboarding. Here's a QR code to targeting system. Here's a QR code to a skills matrix. And that is what I was using for the last like couple of years as a consultant with all of my clients. And I would get everything into one place for them on a Google Drive, and I would help them fill it out, and I would help them ongoingly manage it. And it required access and it required editing. And I just was scratching my brain about, man, I just wish there was a way to have it all in one place. And so that's why we built Motion OS. So this is a website, and this is included. So a lot of our people that are current clients are already using it, is what I wanted to say. What you do is you sign in here, and then what happens is if you're a coach, it pulls you up to this, and it basically just gives you two options. You can either do an internal skills matrix, which this is just a class audit mostly, or you can share your team dynamics, and you can say, okay, let me give an honest assessment of how I feel about each team member. Let me use this as an opportunity to give recognition or kudos. Radical candor for Freedom in Motion is one of our 3 core values. And so we have to talk openly and honestly about how we feel about each other in a working capacity. And is there workability? Can this coach work with this salesperson, or is there going to be any conflict there? And I developed this as well, specifically the relationship tracking software. This was also developed because we have people that are interested in managing multiple locations, and not just multiple locations, but multiple branches. And a person has to be intimately aware of how each team member interacts with each other in order to properly staff a location. I wouldn't want to put 2 people on a camp of 20 kids for 5 days a week when there's a known conflict between them in a working relationship. So I would want to be able to resolve that first before making a decision like that. So this was really designed for people who they want to manage their locations from a distance, or they want to manage their multiple locations, and keep a finger on that pulse. So when you're a coach, you log in, this is all you see. And I can choose class audit or relationship tracking. Now, if I'm not a coach, I'm going to exit the coach view now. And we're going to go over to this system. One moment. So this system is a targeting system. And earlier I said, hey, you've got to have a game. You got to know what you're shooting for. And this is what that looks like. So you'll see this week there's a goal of 2 registrations. There's a gross in, a gross out, that's cancellations, and then you're left with a net. Over here, you can actually list out the trials for the day of the week and where the biggest concentration is. Looks like there's a total of 10 for this week example here. There's 2 on Monday, 2 on Wednesday, 4 on Saturday. So Saturday is the largest concentration of trials. From this, it predicts your signups. And this is typically based off of a trial to registration ratio that I adjust on the back end, depending on just the industry's standards currently. Down here, it's connected directly to our CRM, so we can see the pipeline health. And this basically is saying, hey, has a lead been touched within 48 hours, or is it starting to become stale? And so from here, I can actually drop down and I can click generate staff message, and it'll actually pull up just a little copy based off of my pipeline health, letting the whole team know exactly where everything is and how best to navigate the pipeline. So this gives you a lot of sales director knowledge and vision. It will literally read your pipeline and direct you. It also can tell you about how long it will take to get through your entire pipeline. So that way you can accurately delegate this work to your sales team. For the general manager that's updating this week, they can also say, yep, I've informed the front desk on the game. I am driving the game as the GM. My coaches on Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday have been briefed, and a follow-up plan has been set in place for me to get to those trials that weren't there. If there's any other notes to put down, I can put that there as well. And all of this will show up on a dashboard. What I can do with this as well is if I look at the quarter, this has every single week's, this is what we predicted would happen. This is what actually happened. And this is whether or not we took the actions, or at least marked whether or not we took the actions. So that way you get a running tab of how you're doing week by week, measured by the quarter. Because remember, I invited you to play 3-month games. Okay, so that's a targeting system. It's all built in for you there. Inside of that as well, there's also the ability to read directly your Pike, Mind, Body, and Zen Planner camps. So these are pulled from Pike directly. It'll tell you who's registered, and also it'll tell you when you need to push for them and when not. So if I go to event fill planning over here, it'll tell me if I have a goal of 20 registrants, it'll say, hey, this week you need to register this many people. This week you need to register this many people. And it'll automatically track it and tell you if you're on pace or not to filling your camps. All of this can be adjusted, but again, it's automatically populated with the industry standards that I base off of the 20 plus teams that we're working with. So that's a full targeting system inside of this. Then this is our skills matrix. So this was a brainchild of many, many different people on this call. So many of you helped me create this. And if I select a team member that's being audited, first I select the team member, then I select the person that's giving the audit. And from here, if I select any number of competency, 1 being they really need training, 2 being this skill is developing, 3 being this is an advanced skill, it really encourages feedback by taking the most common scenarios that we've come across with watching and auditing that section of class. And it gives you the ability to just click it and auto-populate it into the notes. So for lesson plan quality, if I click 1, like needs training, I have some immediate feedback here I can give that says, hey, the class appears unplanned. Skills were introduced without logical buildup. There wasn't a warm up to skill connection. A same drill was repeated. And with this, it gives you the ability as the manager to give such more nuanced and specific feedback to your coaches. What's great as well is that every single audit contributes to an average. So you'll see this coach has a current average of 3.0. If I give him a needs 1 or a 1 in this thing, it'll drop that average down to a 2 now. And this is to really accommodate for that, every class is kind of a snapshot and you don't get a full picture. And so this average is encouraging people. The more you do, the more it'll actually get you a holistic view of how the coach is doing. What's really great about this as well is down at the bottom, I can click Save Audit, and that will actually not only save it to the history, but once I go down to that history, I can click Save as a PDF, and it'll pull up a nice full PDF that also has all notes right there that I can then deliver to a coach as well. So that way they have it for their records. They can take it home. If there's one they're particularly proud of, if you have like a work trade program where comp team kids are teaching, this can be really nice feedback for them. And again, that also shows up on the skills chart. Now, if I click Generate Team Report, this team report is taught by myself and many other advanced coaches over the last year. And what this will do is it'll take the skill chart and it'll say, oh, this is how to move these people from a level 1 to a level 2, from a level 2 to a level 3, and what you should be watching in order to make these assessments properly. And it'll give you a full team report on how your team is doing, with some workshop recommendations as well, based on what needs to be worked on the most in the skills chart. And so any competent head coach would be able to generate that team report and just at a glance make some assessments about the team and what they should focus on. If I have 3 to 5 people that are all level 1 and in a skill, then a targeted workshop there would impact our weakest part of class all at once. So it helps a head coach or a general manager make those kinds of educated decisions. That's the skills matrix. I'm breezing through this, but there's a lot in this that you could just explore. This is a general manager accountability checklist. This goes through every single thing that I've identified as the most important thing for a general manager to be doing. This is the 20% of the work that produces 80% of the results. And it's also an accountability system. So I can just come in here and I can click, yes, I did that. And it'll have a whole timestamp on when that was done. And at any time, I can see what I need to do, what I haven't done. If any of my other team members have a question about what I'm doing as a general manager, I can refer to this. So it's an easy way to also quickly bridge the gap between what a general manager does and what someone like a CEO does or someone like a sales director does. If there's ever a question about the work being done or when it's being done, that is right here. Inside of the general manager accountability as well, this is a work in progress, but I've digitized the checklist. So every single student in our system, once you click this, every parent has access to their student's checklist and whether or not they've leveled up and how close they are to leveling up. And if I'm a parent and I click view as parent, I have the ability to go in here and I can give goals to my child. I can say, yeah, I want them to have more confidence. I want them to have more focus. And so coaches can at a glance see, really what the parents want them to work on. And I can give immediate feedback. If you have a premier program or a comp team or a work trade program, this will break down the walls between your coaches and your students. So if you're really in a program where you're developing people, that works super well. Last couple of features here I'm going to go over is as a general manager, I can quickly see all my missing members and email them, anyone that hasn't been in the gym in the last 14 days. Same with my missing bills. If there's any bill or invoice that hasn't been collected or charged, it shows up right here. I can click this button. It'll take me right to that invoice in Pike, and I can try to pay it right from here. It'll also log that attempt when I clicked it. So that way people can see how often you're actually trying to charge those outstanding bills. And then down here is that relationship matrix, similar to the skills matrix. Anyone can rate anyone. But if I'm a coach and I click relationship tracker, it's hidden. So I can only see my perception of other people that I rate. I can't see other people's perception of me. So that way general managers and head coaches can see the nuances of team dynamics, but only recognition is public, and anything that is marked as really needs work is only for the general manager to see. And that will show up in the meetings tab. If someone reports an issue, right here, it'll show up in the meetings tab. And I put my brain into this, from handling over 2 years worth of conflict mediation between teams and gyms across the world. So if I click schedule mediation, I have all of the frameworks here that I host for mediations. And so if you just click one of these, like this particular instance would need a direct feedback session or possibly understanding perspectives. It'll have an easy to see meeting agenda for how to actually run that meeting. And then you can mark whether it was effective or ineffective. And this all links up to your Google Calendar as well, which is nice. So that's the team relationship tracker. There's also the ability to generate a team report on that as well, similar to the skills matrix. So that way you can get a really in-depth look at how your team is doing. And the last thing, which I'm most excited to share with you, is earlier we brought up 4-week billing. And boy, is it hard to predict what the heck is going to happen when you're charging 4-week billing. MindBody, iClass Pro, Zen Planner, Pike, none of that tracks finances very well. It's really hard to predict what the heck is going to happen in your gym. So we built this, and this actually tells you down here, hey, this is how many invoices, this is how much money from how many invoices are expected to be collected through this month. And so you can see we're most of the way through week 1, and we've collected 27,000 out of 28,000 in this week. That's from the invoices that are scheduled at this location. That missing amount will show up in my outstanding bills section as invoices that bounce or things to charge. But with this way, now I know, okay, week 1, 28K is going to roll in. Week 2, 40K is going to roll in. Week 3, 12K is going to roll in. And that's going to give me the ability to say, wow, in these weeks, this is the wiggle room I have in the gym, or this payroll is going to be particularly difficult. I need to set aside finances for this. And then the last thing this does is it tells you by type what you're collecting from. Visa, MasterCard, ACH, check, other credit card, how much of it was account credit, how much of it was refunded. So that way you get a really good idea of what the heck is actually happening with your cash flow in the gym. And a lot of you guys don't have CFOs. A lot of you guys don't have head coaches. A lot of you guys don't have sales director. So what Jimmy and I did was we took how those people think, and we coded this to think about it in that way, and to provide the feedback to you from this data that those people would give. And so that's a lot of the benefit of using this app. And it has every single system that I went over last year all in one place for you. And this is included in our mentorship program. So if you're in our Business Accelerate program, this is available to you. Thank you to the people on this call that have helped me beta test this app and test every single part of this system. Big shout out to Swift Movement. Big shout out to Parkour Generations Boston. Big shout out to Bait Movement. Big shout out to Apex Denver. Those are all gyms that heavily participated in the beta testing of this. So with that, I am going to pass it on back over to Jimmy. There's lots more that this app does. I feel like I talked for a while, and I really just skimmed through what it does and what it's capable of and how it can work. So with that, thank you for your time and your attention. I'm excited for those of you who are on this call that haven't used it to use it. And that's it. Go ahead and take it away, Jimmy.
Nice. Okay. So by the way, if you are not in our program, tomorrow, we're going to show you how you can get onto that particular software. Okay. But why did we show you all that? Like my point isn't so that I can show you the cool thing that we built. My point is we're talking about a level 3 business. This is like level 3, level 4. And what you got to do to get out of this stage of business is take data tracking that seriously. Take data tracking that seriously. Because once you start to get your revenue like up to like 50, 60,000 per month, especially once you have multiple locations, if you don't take data tracking that seriously, you won't know what you're doing. You won't know what you're doing. And it takes that level of attention. It takes a level of care. No longer can you just have like 2 or 3 Zen Planner reports or Mind Body reports and just like, good enough. And I'm going to go play Super Smash Bros. For 2 hours. Like no longer will you be able to do that if you're curious about progressing forward in business past those stages. Okay. And that, everybody, I slammed my head right into when I got that far in business. I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't know what's going on with my finances. I don't really know what's going on with my, like the back end tracking with how these coaches are with that coaches. Now I have a mutiny because this guy hits these people and blah, blah, blah. I needed all that. And that's why we took so much time to develop that. We actually built that app for our gym first. And then we were like, thank goodness we work with other gyms, because one, we need more data to figure out what actually works, not just for our gym. I mean, like experience rather than data, I suppose. We need more experience with how this app can perform better for other gyms. And then also so that we can just get you guys on it for those who are interested in, building your gym to that level. Okay. And then I also want to show you another core place where I do find a lot of my data. And that is back over into the CRM. Whatever CRM you guys get, whatever way you track stuff, you just need to pay attention to how easy it is for me to get this data. Like I showed you earlier what's going on with my pipeline, which is data all on its own. How many new leads, what's going on with these people, that's data all on its own. That was easy for me to pull up. Well, if I just click on dashboard, how many calls total placed by attendee so far, or the last 7 days, 400 something. How many new leads in the last 7 days? 239. Cool. How many calls did Lena make this month so far? Specifically 600 and that many. How many leads did Loma get? How many tasks do we have past due? So if you are the CEO or you have a sales manager and you don't want to like scrape data for hours, you need systems that just deliver them to you on a silver platter. And our CRM can do that. And if you wanted to make your own report, so there's a reporting tab here at the bottom, you can build your own reports. You can clone some that I already have. I can import mine to your account. But if you wanted to just make a blank report, well, you can build all these different reports with like very specific statistics that you can get. I want to see exactly how many emails are being delivered. I want to see if I have an email deliverability problem. And then you can customize it and all that. And then you can schedule, and then you can schedule them to be delivered to you and anyone else who you need. So like your sales manager at whatever doc, you want that person to get this report delivered to them over the last 7 days of data. I'm going to send it to this person with this message, and I'm going to send it to them on a specific cadence, maybe once every Monday, once every end of the month close. You can set this up to do that for you, which is tight. Okay, so that's on our CRM. If you guys choose any other platform, you have to choose a platform that takes data that seriously. And then you have to actually take the time to set that stuff up. A lot of us already have our gym software, MindBody or iClass Pro, or insert your favorite thing you like to hit your head against every Friday here. But you still have to like get in there and set it up and train your team and do the work. Okay. At stage 2 in business, the work is learning how to be a good marketing manager and how to be a good sales manager. At these later stages, the skill is learning how to listen and take action and not work on the wrong problems the wrong way. All right. I really hope that was clear. That's the whole point. That's why we showed you all those different systems. All
And
right.
one last thing to say just about the systems. Like I said earlier in the day today, one of my most accurate general managers used a lot of their systems in a composition notebook. They didn't need a website or an Excel spreadsheet, but they did need to track their data. So you don't need to use our website and you don't need to use our specific CRM, but you do need to track your data. And we have worked really hard on making that easy for you. That's all.
All right, Chris, anything you want to say on this slide?
Just take a look at it. This is like everything all in one, everything packaged up. It officially has 11 different systems in it, and each one of them could be was last year its own entire focus. For some of you that are joining, and this is the first time that you're here, I didn't go over in depth why these systems are important and what they do for your gym. So I invite you to just take a look at this and consider some of the missing systems in your gym, and coaches onboarding, and then the budget for marrying your schedule to your budget, that system of predicting what your payroll cost will be. If you have no systems implemented, those are the two biggest systems that I would recommend implementing if you haven't implemented any systems. Marrying your budget to your schedule, being able to predict your 45%, and then coaches onboarding. So if you can just focus on those two, that'll break this down for you pretty deeply.
Cool. And a bit of technical nuance I want to add to the app is the app is connected via API to my gym management software, which is Pike 13, but other gyms use Zen Planner or iClass Pro. So it connects right to your API. So your data is being sent into this automatically without your involvement once you get it set up. It also connects to our CRM's API. So that is how this app works. And you don't need to like manually scrape or move stuff over once we set it up for you. Okay, cool. Just had to say that. All right, we talked about that. So I want to see what your constraint is at your business. And I'm asking you to do a little bit of self-reflection and to look so that we can talk about it. Your constraint probably has a lot to do with what stage of business you're in. So if it's stage 2, it's probably something in your marketing. But I don't want you to just say marketing or I'm not making any sales. You can say that, but it'd be really awesome if you could even zoom in and say, we're not getting enough leads because we're not spending on ads. Like that's where our constraint is. Or we're getting a lot of ads, but I'm noticing we're only converting 3% of all of our leads into paid members. That could be a specific constraint. So at this moment, I'm challenging every single gym owner on the call. If you're a gym owner, I'm requesting politely that you put something in the chat of where your constraint is located, as much detail as you feel comfortable giving, and why you think it's there. So I'm going to move back to right here. Where do you think it lives and why? If you're on the call as a coach or a manager, then you might just have access to like your vertical. Like I'm the head coach, so I really only see the coaching stuff. Well, from your perspective, if you had a magic wand, what do you think the thing that's holding your gym back is? If you're not the CEO, you can totally put in like, I'm a head coach. Here's what I think. Cool. Does someone just jump in? All right. Okay. So Mitchell, I'm waiting on you. Zach or Scotty, would love to hear you. Nicholas would love to hear what you think it is for Fate. Phoenix would love to hear about you. Hey, Lutz, whichever gym you are from, I'd love to hear from you. Who else we got here? Autumn Goodridge would love to hear about Apex. Rome Further would love to hear what you guys think yours is. I'm at Apex. Cool. Well, then what do you think yours is at Apex? Allison, yep. Struggle with retention of students. Okay, could be that. If you're just staring blankly into the camera void, you are doing something wrong. I'm inviting you to think critically and put something in the chat. Ascension, if we can move to a bigger space, or price if we want to stay where we are at. Okay. So Mitchell, yep, either charge more or move to a bigger space so you can get more people in. Either way, those are two levers that you can grow your revenue. What would you like the coaches to do with this exercise again? From your perspective as a coach, what do you think is holding your gym back? That could be the gym as a whole, or maybe you can zoom into just the coaches, like us as the coaches. What are preventing our students from staying with us for so long that they become the Daryl Stingleys of our gym, or they become, like the next local pro athlete, insert their name here for your area at your gym as a coach? What's your perspective? Yeah. So Scotty, what's your constraint? How do we get more spin turtles going? Cash flow coming off opening second gym. Scotty, come off of mute and tell us a little bit about your constraint.
Yeah, so just coming off of opening our second gym, we racked up a lot of debt on our credit card. And so in order to give us some margin to breathe and reinvest kind of our profit into continue to grow the gym and take financial stress off, we need to dig out of that hole. And to do that, we're increasing our prices at our current location to match what we are at our new location, and offering a prepaid plan option to generate more cash upfront fast to help dig out of that hole quickly, so we no longer have that financial stress. So that's
okay. So you have some considerations of we have some debt. We need to make some more money to get this paid off. Let's zoom into that a little bit more. What do you think the thing is that you have to solve now to make that happen?
So that would be training our staff on how to communicate the price increase as comments, concerns arrive. Once we actually send out our price increase letter, how do we make sure our entire staffing knows how to communicate that with current members so it doesn't create bad taste and actually forms it in a positive?
Okay. So you guys, I know at your indie gym, you've got tons and tons of members, not far from being maxed out. So just increasing your average revenue per member at that gym it seems like the lowest amount of effort to make the biggest impact for you guys.
Yeah.
Sweet. Cool. Thank you for sharing that, Scotty. Autumn Goodridge, if you are comfortable, come off mute and let me know what you see in your area of retention.
I think for mine, it's pretty straightforward. As you're aware, this is something that I'm still continuing to take on myself. What I'm struggling with personally, and of course, I'll work with Rob on this as well, since this is also his area with operations, is I'd really like to work on how do we train our team so they feel equally invested in the retention of our clients. We have some new coaches coming in that are really super into it, and I think that's honestly great, just because they are now raising the bar in our space. However, we still have staff, they've just been with us for years, so I think that, to them it's just a matter of, I coach my class and that's it. I'm not required to do anything else, So I think it makes a big difference. I'm noticing a big difference already with signups with some of these new coaches on board, but I care enough about my team that I would like to give them opportunity and training to help us in the area of retention. Wow, that was a lot. I didn't mean for that to be a lot, but.
Okay, so just to clarify, you guys are getting signups, but if it's retention, you're noticing that you're losing members at a rate that makes it hard to grow or hard to sustain. Is that correct?
Yeah, honestly, we're running really stable. I feel really good about that. It's just that, admittedly, I will say that we've had some, we'll just say, fires that have come up within the last few weeks that we've had to address and put out. So that has most definitely pulled me away from my regular duties and things that I need to be observing. But coming back around, I'm like, yep, I need to get back on track with this and retention and communicating with these new people coming in, and connecting with a coach if they want a mentorship meeting, which is something that we offer with our memberships coming on, just as a side, which the parents really value. So, or just in general, it's not just for the kids, it's for adults as well.
Okay. Yeah, it's really sounding like you guys are at least in the stage 3 of business, which makes sense because we did go out to Apex Denver and install, multi-day sales stuff with you guys, and that's all still running reliably, right, Autumn?
Oh yeah,
nice.
Love it. Yes, it's great.
Yeah, so now you're standing on, okay, Some of our coaches are epic, some of our coaches are not, and it's creating this condition where like some people can really uphold the value of the gym, other people, they're just too comfortable, they don't have their eye on it, like it just kind of falls through, and that impacts how the members think that their experiences. Some members want to leave, some members only want certain coaches, some people just don't do the work, and so it's hard to get a grip on it to move to the next stage. Is that in a nutshell what I'm hearing, Autumn?
Yes, actually, that's perfect, because I was going to say that it's something I'm noticing with these new people that are signing up is they want the schedule of X coach, and that's only when they want to come in, and that's it. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Stage 3, solid. Cool. Thank you for sharing that. Eric Zimmerman, our value price model likely needs to be modified to better fit our target market before then significantly improving our marketing and then cost per lead. Eric, if you're cool with it, come off of hold and let us know what you're thinking. Where'd he go? Someone go to Michigan and get Eric. Bummer. All right. Well, he went on to say, marketing and the cost per lead, we need systems set in place to generate leads and to convert into.
It looks like his mute is coming off. I just don't know if we can hear him. There.
All right. Joseph Canto, a few people have already mentioned retention. I'll get more specific to a piece you have already brought up, particularly. Joseph, come off mute and let us know what you're seeing around my kids right now. Your darn kids. All right. All good. Having technical difficulties with microphone, apparently. All good. Nicholas, Pete started to mention this earlier before technical difficulties, but at Flow Space, I think marketing creates a small constraint. Nicholas, if you don't have kids around and if your mic is working, please share with us what you mean.
So as far as, I think we have pretty well found what our target market is as far as creating marketing material that is effective is where we are struggling. A lot of what we are doing currently is just kind of sporadic, spontaneous. There's 3 of us all doing kind of our own thing, all tackling the marketing from like different areas, but not really any clear like game plan.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys are on our CRM, so you might have some visibility into what leads and stuff you're getting. How reliable is your lead flow coming in right now?
So I am currently just a coach, but I'm also the only one here to represent the gym. I know at some point their goal is to get me up to general manager, but we have not pushed towards that at all. So I don't really have any insight as to any of the behind the scenes stuff currently.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing that's cool about being on our CRM is Chris and I, we can see your CRM if you give us the permission to. It's on by default. We can look at your pipeline and we could actually point out like, oh snap, y'all are behind in this area or whatever. And that's really good because it helps us hold you accountable. It helps us point out where the gaps are. Also, for everyone on our CRM, we have a staff member launching very soon who their job is going to be to give consistent, without you having to ask for it, coaching on what your CRM is doing. So that's tight and is no extra cost. So coming soon. And so looking at your guys' pipeline right now, I see one bucket with 102 people in it. And I see a bucket with this other bucket only has 2 people in it. So that simultaneously tells me that one bucket's not being attended to and another bucket is either up to date or could be getting a lot more love. So without saying specific numbers, because that would be a little bit inappropriate. So I can see just based on that looking that like, I would agree with you. It's either your marketing isn't constantly giving you guys a regular need, so that if it did give you a regular need, you guys would have salespeople scheduled at very specific intervals, and they would be crushing a predictable amount of work, which would then create a demand on Flow Space to have enough money going into marketing so that you have a consistent flow of leads so that your sales team is happy, right? Okay. That makes total sense. And Nicholas, or if you want to point this out to Julia or Logan, you guys can fill out the hot seat application. And instead of me just like talking about the problem right now, we can actually solve it together in real time tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Eric, are you back? Did you live? Your microphone. I can't hear you. Curses. All right. All good. Okay. Anybody else pop into the chat? I think -it. Cool. Okay. Anybody else?
Eric, you could try to join on your phone and use your phone microphone through the link.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. And then Joseph said, but retention related to competing with travel sports where seasonally kids age up and choose another sport. For these students, I think competitions in local leagues will help with this element. But if you guys want to chime in more on this topic as well. Yeah. So I agree with that. Parents don't really get that parkour can be a competitive sport. They see it more as just like, on average, they see it as just like a thing to try, like a Ninja Warrior fun house. When you have a competition team and when your sales team is ready.
Jimmy, you're on.
You got muted somehow.
When did I become on mute? Who did that?
Last thing you said is when you have a competition team.
Did you do that, Christopher? You scallywag. All right. Thank you, guys. Yeah. So if you have a competition team or you have a competition circuit in the area, it creates this sense of, oh, this is actually a sport. Way earlier, when I mentioned nurturing your leads, when you get a lead, those automations kick off and they start nurturing your leads. If one of those automatic emails that go out is about how parkour is a competitive sport, if your kid wants to be competitive, how parkour helps your kid with their other sports. If you start educating your audience right off the bat, that can help. If you have like trophies and stuff, when the people walk in, they can see the competition legacy in the gym, that can help. And obviously every year for us, it's around October, we do like personal invitations to all the kids that are in our level 3 program. And we personally invite them to join the competition team. You can see these kids on FIM's social media all the time. So we're constantly talking about these kids. It's really like a marketing problem, internal marketing. How can we convince our people that we have coming into the gym that this isn't just a supplemental sport? This is your new favorite sport. Cool. So Joseph, I know you can't jump on and go back and forth with me, but in a nutshell, that's where I would take that one. Zach, did you join on your phone? Did that work?
Yeah, yep. I'm trying on my phone now. Can you hear me?
No, everyone, emojis for Zach for figuring that out. Nice shot. Okay, thank you. So Zach, yeah, tell us about your constraint that you're identifying.
Well, I mean, it's when you were talking a couple times now in the different sessions that you when you were first kind of starting out and even sleeping in the sleeping bag sort of thing, like there was times where you just realized that you didn't, like you would hit that wall and be like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I am definitely feeling that way quite a bit. I mean, I've got a lot of years of experience, but it still feels like a lot of guesswork and just uncertainty. And there are times where, even just going back to the foundations of the business model, I don't even feel like 100% confident with at all times. So then, if I'm starting to look at the next steps, I don't think we're at a stage 3 gym by any means. So, all this information is super helpful right now for long-term stuff, but I think I have some other constraints that I need to solve before we even get there. But, just looking at our pricing models and even our scheduling and Christopher was talking about marrying the budget to the schedule. And it seems also overwhelming is not the right word because it's all manageable, but it's there's just so many issues that there's things that we need to solve before I feel like we can even get to the point of I'm not even certain that marketing is the right next step for us until we have a stronger foundation that is even worth marketing. So I think there's a lot of level 1 issues that I need to 100% address before getting growing any further.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
And I understand what you said of there's a lot. It's not overwhelming. It's manageable, but there's a lot.
Yeah.
I want you to get that there's something I'm saying here that makes it really straightforward and clear that I'm giving you permission to actually say no to almost everything except for what's right in front of you. And it is truly just figure out your constraint. And that's something we can help you with. For sure, fill out a hot seat application. We'll do it together on the call. And once you figure out that one thing that if you improve, the whole ship raises, you just need to attack that one thing. And it might be your price, probably is your price, as the easiest thing to do first. It could be just launch good ads. Maybe your price is solid. You just need more people. Like we don't know yet. I'm not looking at your data. But what I'm saying is once you do know, everything else becomes noise. And you just that one signal and you attack it. And anything that bothers you, when I was at my competition, we were running regional finals and I was just trying to do the data. I was like trying to enter the stuff and parents were coming up to me being like, how much is a slice of pizza? And like, my kid dropped their phone into your toilet. And I was just like, hey, somebody like help. I'm focusing on this. So I'm going to mess up these numbers. Basically, that's like what you do with your business, right? As the stuff comes up, either you just be like, no, I'm not doing that right now. Or like, I hired you to do this. Please do the thing now because I'm for sure still doing this, and you do it tactfully with good management. But yeah.
I think being able to identify what that one thing is something that I need better. Like I need to improve that skill is being able to identify that one thing. I've got a good amount of ability to focus on one thing if I know where to go, but I oftentimes feel lost in what is that one thing that I'm supposed to be focusing on? And then I just end up kind of guessing like, well, I'll try focusing on this and see if it improves. But yeah, oftentimes I think I'm in that box where it's like wrong problem, right way or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. And the good thing about being in the stage 1 or a stage 2 is you actually do not need that much data tracking. Because you and I can just talk about it and I'll be able to hear where it is. Because me in particular, with Parkour in particular, I've done it a lot of times. But let's say you remove me. You're talking to like someone who has seen the stages of a business over and over and over again. You don't need all these spreadsheets. You just need a couple numbers and the words. And then someone will be able to be like, right here, let's just talk about it. What if this number was actually double that? What kind of a difference would that make? And then you'll just be like, well, shit, that would kind of do it. Yeah. And then that's what it feels like. And then we have a breakthrough and then we plot out the next steps. Cool. Hey, Eric, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Nebraska, literally me right before I hired Motion Mentors. Mitchell, what was that like for you?
Yeah, so same. Our situation was like, we're trying to hit our break-even number, and the break-even number was the goal. Not even like to make money, just to make sure the gym doesn't go under. And so I tried all these different things. I'm like, all right, this might work. So we'll try it. It might not. And we tried all these things, and it's like, okay, well, we have the other things that might work, but it might not. And like, well, we can keep playing these guessing games, or we could try and bring someone in who actually knows. And that, like, Jimmy posted some quality stuff. Now his content is like supremely more. So it's proof point now. But hired him on. He's like, yep, that's immediately your problem. I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it. Came in, did it for us, raised prices. That 17,000 we made in the first month was not even from our entire customer base. That was only from a third of it, and only for people who signed on for a long-term plan. Everyone else, I think our revenue increased by 2/3 or even doubled. But yeah, it went from like, I don't know, 8K to 16K or something. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So the thing to hear is like, also unsure, also trying lots of stuff, and then was like, all right, let's get help. And then the help is what zoomed it in. And then once you zoomed it in, Mitchell said that giant result, and giant result broke open the problem. And then it felt like, oh snap, Mitchell, you instantly went right to level 2 of stage of business. And that was still part of our contract. So we solved that too. And then you went right to level 3 of the business, like within a couple months, which probably felt kind of gnarly. It's kind of gnarly to like rocket through some of those stages. Okay. Thanks for sharing that, Mitchell. All right. If anyone, level 4 now, yeah, baby, let's go. If anyone has any additional constraint they want to throw out, I invite you to do so. And for those of you who actually want to super duper solve your problem, hang on. Boop, 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 boop. Tomorrow. All right, am I on the right screen? Yes, I am. Tomorrow we're doing the hot seat. The hot seat is going to be you and me talking about your problem. I'm going to ask you for specific numbers, and then live together, we're going to actually solve it. And like, I'm asking for your generosity and your sharing, because when you're gracious enough to have that back and forth with Christopher and I, everyone else on the call will see themselves in your problem. And I'm inviting you to get as specific and make it selfishly about you, because that's actually when it's the most useful for everyone on the call. So scan that QR code. I will also go and get the hot seat application. Cool. And pop it in the chat. I'll email it out to you guys also. So that's that. Okay. And I think that is the end of our day. Cool. So tomorrow, I'll leave this slide up in a second. Tomorrow, we are doing 10 o'clock. We're doing culture and coaching. That'll be largely led by Chris. Chris, give us a little preview of what it's that doing.
Yeah. Earlier, I had said that at the beginning of the day, I started this journey as a coach that loved coaching, got burnt out, and wanted it to be a restorative practice. I did that. I learned how to make coaching a restorative practice and have it be something that was fulfilling and enlivening and making a true, honest, and radical difference with every student that I came across, and manage very large sizes of classes and small children and teenagers. And tomorrow is me just condensing everything that worked about it into a small presentation, which will largely cover a logical consequences model, the 4 most common types of misbehavior in children and how to actually deal with them, and then 8 communication skills that every parkour coach is going to need to be successful and sustainable. And just like a B twist took me 4 years how to learn, and now I can teach it to someone in 30 minutes, this is 6 years of personal and professional development condensed into a small presentation in the morning. So don't miss it, and make sure your coaches are there.
Cool. Thank you, Chris. And then later on, we're going to talk about leadership and teams, a huge cultural piece also. This is important for like every stage of business. It starts really at stage 2. It really slaps you on the butt if you're not good at it at stage 3, and it can end your business. It almost did for mine at stage 4 and stage 5, and all the stages up from there. Culture, your relationship, your accountability, your values with your team. We'll be diving into that. And then at 4 p.m., we're going to talk about, okay, we have all this data. We did all the lessons. What are you going to do? And we're going to make your plan for what you're going to do in the next 30 days to achieve specific results. Okay. So a couple things I want to just flag. All right. So for some hot seat applications, Eric, you already submitted one. You rock. Thank you very much. If you can, come to the call with any data or numbers you have around those past marketing efforts you had, how much you spent, how many leads you got, whatever you can bring would be helpful. So that's it. Anything you want to add, Chris?
Just that thanks everyone so much for your engagement today. It's the whole reason why Jimmy and I put this together is because we want to make a real difference with your businesses and what you're dealing with. So I just appreciate the level of participation, and I'm excited to see you guys tomorrow.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us today. On screen, you have a link to join our Discord and our Parkour Business Owners Facebook group if you're not already on those. Thank you for your time and attention, and that's it. Thanks, everybody.